We are recording now.
All right, so good morning, everyone. My name is John Graves, and I'm the Instructional Designer Project Manager at the Language Resource Center. And today we're here to talk about adding and using the Zoom tool for your Canvas course. So in this overview, you're going to be seeing how to use Canvas settings to add Zoom tool to your course, which is going to allow you to launch a Zoom room from your Canvas course, but also to schedule Zoom meetings from your Canvas course, which is it's a great feature to have at your disposal when you're starting to teach virtually online. So as we can see here, before you even approach Canvas or decide to use the Zoom tool at all, one thing that you want to keep in mind is that you have to initially log into Zoom using your NetID and password. So this slide is here just to remind you that you need to go to cornell.zoom.us to log in once, which sets up your account. And then you'll be ready to be able to go through the next steps of adding the Zoom tool to your course. Okay, so here, let's go ahead to the next slide. And so once you log into your course, you can go ahead and see that canvas.cornell.edu, we've gone to that page, and we can look right here. We can see that our course is there. So we're going to go ahead and click on our course to enter it. Little reminder, the Zoom tool you're looking for may already be added to your Canvas course. Just like you're on a plane, the emergency exit might be there. You actually might have your Zoom tab already available. And the reason behind this is that the Center for Teaching Innovation, maybe a couple weeks ago, enabled it within each course by default. I have been hearing from some faculty that have been using the course, that have been logging into their Canvas course, they don't see the tool. So in the event that you cannot see the tool, the next steps of how to do it are going to be very important for you. But just keep in mind, you might be lucky and you have the tool added already, so you save a couple steps. So here you are, you're in your Canvas course. And on the left-hand side, starting with home, you see a number of different menu items that are available. I want, as you look at this page, if you go all the way down to the bottom of all those selections, you'll see click on settings, which is where you want to go next. So when you click on that, you come to this page. And if you don't see this page right away, it may be because you haven't clicked on the navigation tab. So you see on the top there's a couple of items, course details, apps, and what have you. Make sure that you have navigation checked to be able to bring up the screen. And so at the top, you'll see that those are the menu selections that are already added to your course. Below the red line, you won't see this red line in your course, but I put it there just to kind of give you a visual representation. But below the line that says drag items here to hide them from students. So anything you drag from the bottom of the page, that bottom row, if you drag it above that red line or above that statement, they become active within your course. So what we're going to do next is we're going to find within these list of tools the specific tool that says Zoom, and I think it's all the way at the bottom of the page. My apologies, I couldn't fit it onto this slide, but that's what you're going to want to use your mouse with a left click, hold it, and then drag it all the way up above the statement to drag item here to hide from students. You want to drag it above that line to actually make it visible for students. So this is just another visual here, just showing you that I drag the Zoom tool up above that line, and now the Zoom tool is available within your menu for you to use. But before you do that, you might think you're done. I did this on purpose to kind of give you a sense, because I made this mistake many times. Once you drag the Zoom tool up to be available for your students to see, you want to make sure that you click on the save button that's at the bottom of the screen. If you don't, guess what? You go back to look for the tool, And in fact, the tool isn't available for you because you didn't save it. So please make sure you click save before you go away from the screen to look for the Zoom tool. So with that said, the tool has now been added and it's in your Canvas course available for you to click on and use. The next step is to show you how to use the Zoom tool once it's been added. And this is just an overview of what you'll be learning in the next couple of slides, is how to add that Zoom tool, create your first meeting, and then schedule it. I'm not sure if many of you are asking this, but maybe some of you in the audience are asking this, like Zoom tool, like why do we need that? Because I can just go to cornell.zoom.us and go to that site, log in and use a Zoom room. Well, the main reason in my mind that you want to have the Zoom tool is very useful is because students are very distracted. Online, they're checking their Twitter feed, they're looking at YouTube videos, they're looking at Facebook maybe, but they're very distracted. So as much as possible, students appreciate this, but it also helps them not get distracted on the way to your course, is all the tools and everything all the materials that you need for your course, really, if you can do it and if it's possible, should be available through your Canvas course or in a common space where students just go to one place and they know that their learning is going to take place there. So in that regard, the Zoom tool is very useful because it keeps everything in one space, which is the Canvas Learning Management System, to be able to manage your course, manage your students, and make materials available when needed for them. So once we've added the Zoom tool as we have in previous steps. Once you've done that, you're going to want to schedule your first meeting in Zoom. So when you click on the Zoom selection there on the left-hand side, you're going to come up to this screen on the right-hand side that shows the Zoom tool itself. At this point, there are no tools added. There's no meetings added, so we're going to go ahead and add our first meeting. So let's go to the next step and click on schedule a new meeting. Once we do that, we're going to come up with a number of different selections. I want to kind of calm the anxiety that might be building up right now in saying that most of the things on this screen, you will not need to adjust. So when you look at this overwhelmed going, oh my goodness, there's so many things I have to set. Is this for real? I want to kind of calm you down and alleviate some of those fears. A lot of this stuff is already set up for you. So I'm going to go down the page, understanding that you're probably not all of this is going to sink in, but this PowerPoint slide will be available after this presentation. And also we have a site within Google Drive specifically hosting these documents that you can go to pull this up and take a look at it at your own pace. But I'll go through these one by one. So at the top, you have topic, which is by default the course name or then the course number for your course. You can change that, but to be honest, I would just keep it the way it is. The second is a description. So this is optional, but I would recommend that you do put something in there. So for example, conversation practice or group work or exam, let's say office hour. Those put some type of descriptor in there saying what the purpose of this meeting that you're scheduling will be. So when you go down the page, what time's the meeting happening, duration, is it an hour, 2 hours, time zone. You would think that you wouldn't have to worry about this, but there is a chance that some of your students are joining your class from a place that's not the Eastern time zone. So this actually does, in fact, become something you want to make sure that's set to Eastern Standard Time. It's set to that by default because that's where Ithaca, New York is, and that's where Cornell is. If you're joining from a location away from Ithaca, by chance, you want to be mindful of what the time zone is. Below that is registration. Don't worry about that. That's more for a webinar or for a conference. So just keep going down the page. Video. This will allow you to, this will allow you when the meeting opens to either have the video on for the students and for you by default. So the meeting will start, the video will be right on. For me personally, I would keep the switch to off for both, because you never know, students want to set themselves up on camera, get ready before they show themselves on screen. So for you and for the students in the class, I would switch this to off. Audio, because the students are going to be joining from different parts of the country where internet connections may not be good and they have to use a telephone connection for their audio, I would just keep this set to the default of both. Going down the page, meeting options. In most cases, I would leave all of those blank. You don't really need to check any of those. I do give a description of what some of these features are, like for example, enable waiting room, mute participants upon entry. That may be something you want to click, but in all honesty, I feel like students want to know if the audio works right away. So I would just keep that unchecked initially. And really all those can stay unchecked, but at least you know what those features are and what they do. And then finally down the page, you'll see alternative hosts. So for this webinar today, Sam, which is he's off camera right now, is a co-host, as well as Angelica is a co-host, and they're helping me with the logistics and coordinating pieces of this presentation, because my hands are full speaking with you all. So that's what a co-host feature can do. In the case of some of you that are on this call, you may want to use it as a way, if there's someone available to monitor chat within your house, family member, I'm not sure. If you feel more comfortable with that, maybe you can have them off to the side as a co-host. That's just an idea. But in this case, I need it in order to coordinate all the multiple pieces of this presentation, because there are a lot of pieces going on at once. So that's what that's for. So here's the meeting. It's been set up. You see a number of these. It basically gives you a summary of the meeting, what you've set and what have you. And so when you look down the screen, one of the things I want to emphasize is under invite attendees, there's this copy the invitation link that you can click on. And what that gives you is a nice little copy and paste set of text that you can use in order to send meeting details to the students. And I happen to be a paranoid person, so I want to make sure that everybody goes to this meeting. So if this is your first time using the Zoom tool and you want to make sure the meeting goes off without a hitch, maybe you want to copy the invitation and put it into an email for your students. And this is where you would do that. So you copy the invitation, paste it into a document, hold it there. And then this is what the invitation looks like. And then finally, once you're done, you can click on save and the meeting is scheduled. I just want to remind everyone that just by clicking on that invitation to copy it doesn't mean the meeting is saved, but you do want to, if you are concerned about sending this invite out to students and want to do that as an extra step, you want to copy and paste that information into a document and then click save here. Once you've done that, here's the Zoom tool. Down at the bottom, you'll see that there's an additional meeting that's there. And now when students come into the Canvas course, they're able to click on start. It opens up the meeting and there you are, you're ready to go. I do want to give a shout out to the team at the Language Resource Center, and also say that we have it's been a very useful site we've gotten a lot of feedback on it. It's been very useful for faculty to look at. It's the COVID-19 site. And as you scroll down the page, you'll see a number of really useful and very useful and informative, like kind of snapshots of, best practices about teaching online. There is a lot of information out there about what makes good online teaching. I feel like there's a good collection here of information. Like, we curate it, we look through it, we filter out the good from the bad, and here's a really good collection of places to look to get you started. So also on the LRC page, there's About Us. So if you want to contact any of us with any of your questions, here's our contact information on the website. And then finally, here's my contact information if you need to get in touch with me. Myself and my colleague, Sam Lupowitz, who did a webinar just this past week, we're both available to answer any questions that you have regarding technology and best practices for virtual instruction. But I'll leave it there for any questions. And thank you everybody for waking up at, what is it, morning, and being with me today to go through this. So thanks a lot.
Wow, applause. I like it. Wonderful. Mary Kay, do you have any questions for us?
No, I don't have questions yet. Thank you.
And Mary Kay, if any of your folks over in Romance, if any of them have questions, do remind them, please, that we are here to help as people transition into this virtual environment.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for all your help.
Awesome. Good deal. Well, thanks for joining today, and we will see everybody for our next webinar, which is tomorrow, Tuesday at 10:30, titled Talk Amongst Yourselves, Zoom Breakout Rooms Tutorial and Practice. Until then, auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiederhören. Try to jump in there.
Bye.